Like I was eating for a family of 5 and I gave not one care that I was eating for a family of 5.
All I want you to do is be my love, so don't give away my love, so don't give away.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aisha. This is Aisha's life. So today I'm going to be doing part 2 of my Pseudo Tumor Cerebri story. I'm going to be starting the story time off where I left off in the last video, which was graduating high school and what life looked like for me after that point as far as having this condition. So just a quick recap. I have found out I had this condition. I had a surgery. I went to the blind school and now here I am graduating. Now, I'm not going to do too much recapping in the last video outside of that. So if you want to see that, please go to the video that is linked down first in the description box so that you can see that video. And now let's get into this one. So after high school, I was very like, okay, I'm not really declining in my vision. It's like 2017. I had started to work out heavily. I had started to lose a lot of weight. Then I had got into a really toxic relationship. And I didn't know that being in that relationship, I was gaining weight only because like over time, like I wasn't taking a lot of body pictures. I was just taking face pictures and my face had got really chubby looking and I was not happy about that. Like it was not giving. Once I got out of that toxic relationship, I had gained all of the weight back that I had lost top part of 2018 and in the entire 2017. And with that massive weight gain, I feel like that's where a lot of my issues had started back up. My vision has started to be really weird. I was having like these flashes of light in my vision and I didn't know what was going on. Thus started my journey to go to the hospital every single week. I was in and out of the hospital and it was like such a struggle for me because first of all, being that I am blind, my family, I was relying heavily on them at that time. I hadn't started being comfortable with being in Ubers by myself and cabs by myself. Like I wasn't comfortable with that shit. My thing of what I was doing at that point is I was going to the hospital often, like every single day, right? Now let's get into 2019. In 2019, I realized, okay, I think the blackouts are coming back and that's when my vision would go completely black and it would just be blank, right? That had started back up and I had came fully up out of remission. I was no longer in remission. I was definitely declining in vision again. The medicine at that point stopped working. I know that information now because of my neurosurgeon who told me that's what I was going through. I was steadily losing vision and the medicine was no longer working. So the headaches never came back though. I was having all of the vision loss changes and all that stuff. Like all that was happening to me, but it wasn't like it was when I first lost my vision, if that makes sense. This condition is really triggered by instant weight gain. Like you're gaining weight at a very rapid rate. And being that I was in a very toxic relationship, I was just eating my feelings, not really realizing I'm eating my feelings. Like I was eating for a family of 5 and I gave not one care that I was eating for a family of 5, okay? Which is not the thing to do when you have Pseudo Tumor Cerebri. Or if you already are heavier, it's not the thing to do, girl. It's not the thing to do. Put the pizza down. So the neurologist that I had at that point, he wasn't trying to do his job and I had later found out he was on his way to retirement. So I feel like that had a lot to do with it. And already in the medical field, you know, doctors really don't believe black women when they say they have things going on with them. What I'm telling him, he was not listening. Every time I go to the doctor's office, oh, I really like your hair. Y'all, one time this man told me that he liked my hair. Then he proceeded to tell me and my mother how, oh, you know, black women are less likely to drown because they don't want to get their hair wet. Like, when did you, what does that have to do with me coming in here telling you that I have vision problems? Like, then he was telling me, go to your ophthalmologist and see what she says. She saw that I was losing vision and she had then made it like several letters to him saying this girl needs X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z was a spinal tap, and she also wanted me to go and get CT scans and MRIs, one of those. And he completely disregarded everything she wrote in her notes. So if you look at my medical files, it'll say like the timeline of events and how often I was going to the hospital. So then COVID hit, right? The first 6 months of 2020, I was in the hospital every single week again because my doctor was not listening to me. I go to the hospital, they really can't do nothing about it. So the one day that I had got some help was like in September, I believe, because I had my surgery in October of 2020, which was the shunt, but we're gonna get to that. So in September, I had a really bad day of just like my head was hurting so bad. Like it was an all day headache and it was at night. And my boyfriend and I was home alone and I was like calling his name and he was like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I really need to go to the hospital. And he told me by the way I said like his name, he knew that, okay, something is serious and something is really going on with her. Because I had been in the bed all day, right? So I got up, we went to the hospital, and I had met my neurologist, my neurosurgeon actually, and he was like checking me, doing all what he needed to do, all his like testing things, and he realized quickly that I had a ton of fluid backed up. So all those symptoms that I was having, he realized quickly that these symptoms were causing my vision to decline rapidly. So the major symptom that day was blurry vision. Like, it was like a fog in my vision. Like, I could not see. I could barely see my phone. Thank God I know how to use voiceover, because baby, it was a freaking struggle. Once he got back his results, he was like, I'm gonna give you a spinal tap, and if I could right now, I would give you a shunt right now. He was on his way to go send my ass to the operating room. Like, he wanted to give me a shunt that night, but it had to get cleared by my insurance, and it took a couple of weeks. So I had my spinal tap, where then that's when we found out I had high blood pressure, because my heart rate had jumped up to 160, and the nurse basically described it as if I was running track or something, like really, really fast. Like, that's the only way my heart would have, start beating that fast unless I was running. So they didn't even know I had passed out after my spinal tap, because I was still coherent, but I had went blank. I had blacked out completely. My blood pressure had ran up really, really high, all because of they had scheduled my spinal tap for like 5 o'clock in the evening, and they told me not to eat if I was going to get sedated. And I didn't know it was an option for me not to get sedated, because the first time I had a spinal tap, I wasn't sedated. I was fully, awake. So they gave me the spinal tap. I blacked out. Heart rate went to 160. I then was placed on a heart alter monitor after the whole surgery, well, after the spinal tap, because they wanted to track my heart and see if everything was okay. Luckily it was. So he did my numbers, and my numbers looked like they were really, really high. I think it was like 40, between 40 something and 50 something. Like, it was really high. And he was like, that's not supposed to be, up there like that. So once I got the results back from that, I went back to the hospital, met with my doctor, the new neurosurgeon, and he scheduled my surgery for October 12th, 2020. And that was the day of my anniversary, my 1-year anniversary. So as I'm sitting here getting my brain cut in two, punctured and stuff, it was my anniversary. So once I got upstairs to the ICU after surgery, all the nurses was coming and was like, your mom told it was your anniversary, happy anniversary. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. But one thing that happened that I mentioned in the first video is that I really couldn't smell. Well, okay, I couldn't smell really out of one of my nostrils these like past couple of years before the surgery, probably like 2 years. I couldn't really smell out my nostrils. Like, it would go back and forth between which one I could smell out of and which one I could breathe out of. And after my surgery, the neurologist that had done my surgery had came in, and he was like, can you do a deep breath for me? And I'm like, still coming out of anesthesia, like, what the hell? Like, what are you talking about? And he was like, just breathe in. And I was like, and I was like, I can't breathe out my nostrils. And he was like, I know. So recovery was not that bad. I was only in the hospital overnight, and I went home like 12 noon the next day. I got home, and I thought it was gonna be a bad recovery, but my recovery wasn't bad at all. They put a incision. So I have an incision right here in my abdomen area in my stomach. I also have my shunt where he placed it right here in the top of my head, and then there's a tube that feeds all the way down my neck into my abdomen area, and then there was an incision made in the back of my ear as well, and on top of my head as well, obviously. Okay, so this is where my shunt sits at, right here above my left brow area. So it is in my skull, well, in my brain. And it's right here. It's a little hump. When I first got it put in, it was a little higher, but it has since settled, and that was a whole process within itself. But if I did like a slick back ponytail, you definitely could see my little hump. But I always do braids, as y'all see, to put my wigs on. But yeah, that's where my little shunt is. And then it just feeds all the way down my neck into my stomach. The incisions that was in my head, they had staples in them. And first of all, they weren't painful to get out, but when my hair started to grow back after the 14 days, y'all, he was pulling my hair, and I was like, oh, that hurt. He's like, that doesn't hurt you. I'm like, yeah, it does. But it wasn't bad at all for my recovery. I had one night where I felt like like my ear, all this area right here was like really swollen. And I know now, like if I feel like it's a little swollen, or if I sleep on this side a little bit too long or too many days in 1 week, like it'll get swole, and then my stomach will get swollen, then I have to ice it. Ice definitely does help like calm that down, because one day I had called the doctor's office and I'm like, I don't know, but I'm swollen on this side of my body. He said, have you iced the areas? I was like, no, but I don't know what's going on. And he was like, just ice it. So I iced the areas, and all the swelling had went down like after a little bit, and I was cool. So I know anytime that I feel like there's a little bit of swelling or something like that, only because it's a foreign object in your body, you know, I'll just ice it and I'm cool. Since 2020, because it's now 2022, I have been so stable with my vision. I haven't had any vision issues. I haven't had days where I'm sitting there like, damn, today may be the day I may go blind today. Even though I am blind, but like blackout blind, you know? But I'm so grateful for Dr. Kim for actually giving me this surgery. Like if it wasn't for him, I don't know if I would have vision right now. And for the doctor that was mistreating me basically for all those years, you know, you. So that's pretty much the story, outside of me definitely on my weight loss journey, because that's a forever battle with me. I have, you know, started losing weight again, because I go through these waves where I lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, but I haven't gained a significant amount since having my shunt. So that's really good. If anything, I've lost weight since the shunt been put in. If you guys have any more questions, please leave them down in the comment section down below, and I will be happy to answer them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.